Welcome to Accountants Law Pod, where accounting professionals and law firms converge. Hosted by Linda Artisani, Sarah Prevost, and Stephen Libhart.
Hello. How are you guys?
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah, it's been a long
Linda.
day.
It's been a long day. And it's only a certain time of the day, midday for me, afternoon for you. But
I know. I see 5 o'clock on my horizon.
I know she's up, and I like go for it, right?
It feels like 5 o'clock for you. You've been up there early, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a pretty good topic today, to be honest with you. I'm excited to get into it. It's getting the most out of your conference experience, which I would love to know because, Steve, I know that Linda and I are conference goers.
Conference junkies.
Yeah. There's been some particular ones that you've done in the past that you've really enjoyed and you've talked highly about. Is there anything that you look at kind of when you're looking at a conference, the schedule's coming out, it's been out, but as far as like which ones to pick, or are there any particular ones that have like sparked your interest, or is there anything that you particularly look for in a conference?
Well, the first thought that comes to my mind, and it's not a selfish comment, but I call it, radio station WIFM, what's in it for me? Is the conference going to be something that you're going to benefit from? Because after all, why are you going? So you really need to look at that. Don't go because your best friend, your best buddy in the industry said, this is so cool. Or you really need to look at what it's going to do for you, and get your objectives in line. Why do I want to go? Who do I want to meet? How do I want to organize that? Do I, am I packing right and taking the right things with me, like business cards, a battery pack, a, notebook, whatever. But the type of the conference, what do you need for your business right now at this moment in time this year? Is it one that you've attended before that, could you go to another one that might give you more information in a different vein? So,
that's a good kind of quick tip thing on, like, as you kind of analyze. In looking back while you were talking, I don't know if Linda was feeling this way. I was thinking to that first one I did, which happened ironically to be this exact same one that Linda did, her first one.
So
and we just didn't know each other at the time. And I remember somewhat selfishly saying, I'm going to do this. And then my mom was so kindly was like, I'm going to do this with you.
So she went to your first one with you.
You went with me, and it was a riot for her and I. It was just her and I at the time. We had so much fun together, but I remember feeling that way. Is to your point. I did this for me. I didn't do it because anyone else. And I don't think we were in Seth's group at the time, Linda, but I do remember combing and poring over so many of the classes and probably doing all the wrong things. Like Linda's brought this up before, where we just like book ourselves so tight. You almost felt like you had to be 5 people because there's 5 classes offered at the same time.
You can't attend everyone. That's setting yourself up. So.
And then run from one. I mean, literally ran from the next because I had my list and I had it all plotted out. But I was like, Sarah, I went by myself, and that was a big deal because I'd never really taken a trip by myself before, other than maybe going up to Rhode Island by myself. And to do like a business trip, I'd never done that. And then I had to cross the country. I'm leaving the East Coast to go to the West Coast. Never factored in the time zone difference. And then when I got there, I mean, literally by 6 o'clock, I was ready to go to bed because I go to bed at 9, and then I'm up at 3 a.m. because I get up at 6, and I was like, oh, I can do all this work. And then I repeated those days and then headed back home. I never went to one of the parties. I never went to any of the events that you would go to at, like, this is Intuit Connect, which was
yeah.
But Sarah and I did figure out that we were in the same row, because we talked about it, and we're like, I was there, and I said, I sat in the front row. I make sure that I sit in the front row, even no matter where I go. If I'm going to church or something like that, I'm always in the front row. I don't care where I am. No one wants to be in the front row, even in taking my exercise class. I'm in the front row.
Yeah.
And, and it was kind of funny. She said she was right there. We could have been right next to each other, didn't know it.
Peter Cullen, he's one of the first people I met in that session, and he was sitting there, and you were on the other side of him, you said, and I was on the other side, which was hilarious because we were in the front row on opposite ends, and he was right behind. We were describing a very pivotal moment, but I just feel that when we have looked to your point, Steve, your tip, when we have looked at it at this tenure now, we've been doing this for a while, we have been combing through what is aligning with our goals. Sometimes it's nice to go because it's fun. But after you do them for a while,
you want
to change up.
I think too, like it's an evolution how we've gone to these conferences. Like we were that small business owner just starting. Well, we weren't starting out, but we were small and we maybe didn't have employees or just had one employee. And we were going to this conference to better our businesses and better ourselves and find a new direction. And at that point, I was looking to start to specialize my firm and learning about that, and learning up pricing was big that year. And then that was that year. And then the next year I went totally different. Like I ended up going out ahead. I went with Matthew. We went out there and he came up with this idea. Let's just interview everybody like we were somebody. And that's what we did. And then all of a sudden I became somebody because I was like, when you stand around the microphone, okay, hey, can we talk to you about this? This is exactly what we did. And people thought we were somebody. So we did that year. And then I went to some of the Canadian Intuit Connects. And now I'm out there more. Totally different purpose, trying to grow a Facebook group and for a different purpose. And then fast forward to working with you. Now I'm going again for education, but now we're in a special place of a bigger firm and growing our firm. And we started to go, and then all of a sudden it became, oh, you guys are doing so great. You want to teach? And then we became teachers at these events. And then now we sit back.
It's an honor.
Then absolutely. And then talking to Steve, and Steve's like, do you ever go to the lawyer ones? I'm like, no, why would we go to those? And now all of a sudden we're interested in going to the lawyer ones because, and we've all taught together up on the stage, but it's funny how it evolved to a different space where you were the student, then the teacher, and now we would go for education. But then now we sit back and say, how much are we going to invest? Because they're not cheap to go to.
Yeah.
Price tag to go. They're all over $1,000 for good reason. There's a lot behind it. But then also you need to see when you're investing that much, you want to see the lineup of what's up there. Is there anything there? And at some point, some of the conferences, we've looked at them and I'm like, we could teach all that, Sarah. Why would we go to that? We're not partiers. So you can cross that off the list. I think I've converted you into go to bed early person now to just leave.
Yeah. I love to socialize. So socializing has always been, I think it's, we've had friends in the circuit that have always said, I just like to go to these just so I can see you all, which is very true.
Learn a lot from, we sat and talked to, what's his name? And that was a fascinating conversation. And then we sat and talked to some of the vendors and learned about, I love doing that. Like even the first couple of years that we were running around with microphones, I can remember learning about remember they did the app showdown and we went into that room.
I know.
All the people were competing to be the best app for QuickBooks. And we would interview every one of the people there and find out the story behind why they developed their software, and they were all passionate about it and you put their hearts to it. That was really fun to do.
Deepen the relationship too. That I think as a tip to add to your list, Steve, of things is you meet the vendors that you work with, but you may not otherwise have FaceTime with because it might be a chat or whatever it is. And so you get in front of probably some pretty cool people, which we have in our experience, but
they know us personally now.
Yeah. And it's
exactly.
It means a lot. Yeah. It means a lot. But, in going back to the content too, it's very interesting because there's so much out there offered just in the accounting space. And you can spend pretty much your, May to December, all you do is conference travels. Like you literally could just do that. And it does.
Some of our friends do.
Somewhat exhausting.
Yeah. We have friends that speak.
It's a lot of travel. And, if you budget, I like to budget in the fall for the next year. Yeah. And I like to look at
that happen in the same month too. Like they're all
right.
Well, we have in October, there's a ton. Right?
Oh my gosh, they all jam them into October. It's crazy. I like to look at my elevator speech every year and review it.
Yeah.
And pull that down when I'm working on the budget and then look at the business and say, what do I need to improve on? Where could I go where could I go? What could I do? And start planning for next year's conference. Like, I've never been to a Clio conference. It's time for me to go.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. They all serve a different purpose. And if you look at them as not just some fun event, which they can be a lot of fun, and you can meet a lot of people and see your friends and all those sorts of things, but what are you going to do with it? You know, are you going to post on social media afterwards? Are you going to write a blog? Are you going to reach out to people that you've been afraid to talk to because you think that they're 10 steps ahead of you when they really aren't? You know, those sorts of things. What
staff?
do you take staff?
Right?
Like we've done, yeah. And you do, like I have in the past. I mean, when I was in that learning stage, I would get in the airplane, or I would take a ton of notes, and then I get in the airplane, I'd rewrite them all to get them in my head, feel overwhelmed, feel exhausted, and then try to implement steps. So to get the most out of your conference, you want to get as many notes. I would tell you not to take as many courses as I took, trying to jam them all in as much as you want to. Really, you got to kind of don't make it that crazy for yourself. And then also take the notes, go with a purpose. I think that's the other piece. You want to balance the networking, because I can tell you, like this past year's Connect, I think we had one of the best, just a side, we were having on mocktails, and we just had a side conversation at one of the bars. And it was, I found that to be probably the pinnacle of our trip into Vegas, was having that conversation with another business owner about what they're doing. And they were a few steps ahead of us and where they were going and things that they had learned from. And we kind of shared ideas. And I think that was...
It's a safe space to do that.
That one has held, it is a safe space, and that has held so dear to me, because that individual as a person means so much to myself, and having met Linda, and there's been some positive changes in his life, but I've always felt that when you sit down with someone like that, it felt like a very honorable space to be in, almost like you wanted to get all the words out so fast because you didn't want to lose the opportunity. And that's where I feel that Linda, I mean, we've shared this privately, and we shared it with you, Steve. It's like these little micro network moments that occur before a meeting, during a session.
Lots of aha moments.
Yeah. And you come out and you're kind of like, now for the existing that we've been to repetitively, it is nice to take a pause and reevaluate. But the beauty of it is when we take the pause from being on the circuit, it's giving Linda and I a moment to evaluate, like, where is the importance? Who on the team needs to go in place of us? Because we've learned, not that we've learned our capacity. I'm always learning every day, but maybe there's types of conferences that are better suited for people on the team. And now with AI, there's so much being offered. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. Like, there's so much content out there that's just tailored to that.
Great point. And, it doesn't have to necessarily be a conference in your niche, because there's so much out there that there's so many things to learn and to experience, and that are new and stepping out of the box that we're in a little bit. I'm itching to go to a legal conference. I want to go to a legal conference. I want to do that with you two. I think the three of us would be really...
going in May.
We might be going in May, yes. But with AI, I'm just itching now to get out and learn some more AI things and connect with people. And because it's like this monster, I'm blaming you, Linda, because when we first started talking about it a year or two ago, whenever it was, I was like, oh my God, no. And you just kept pushing and pushing. Yeah. And now I'm like, Linda would be proud of me. I just discovered this or that or whatever.
I love it. I love learning about it. I'm really fascinated by it on one side. And then my other side is like, I don't want to get too over crazy with it, because it can get really crazy, and you don't want, you have to play with it though. You don't want to be that person not testing it, because really we talked about it in the law lab, and now we have this once a week thing that we're doing, and once a month thing in the law lab talking about AI. And it's something that you want to start to implement, and you see it in like every software is trying to add it. Some have done it successfully, some not so much. And it's just like, I remember thinking, oh, can it do this? Can it do that? And then when you see what it can do, and what it does well and what it doesn't. You really want to stay on top of it because it's changing super fast. But
well, to right there to what we were talking about, I think that there's a legal AI conference out there we should all be going to.
Yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, we have our friend Jay. We just
well,
Jay.
brilliant. Yeah. Sorry, I had to turn off a bunch of apps because I could see my internet was starting to do it. But I do feel like in those verticals, Steve, to your point, and I think this is where Linda and we're also looking to invest in our team. So doing our own thing for the team,
right?
To be supportive of that. And I kind of want to feather in some learning platform moment on that because I want to support where does the growth need to be. I mean, we have a wonderful group of people that we would love to see grow. And I feel that it would be really important to have this opportunity for them to have it's scary. So not everyone's a concert or conference goer, right? Like concert goer is almost what I said.
The conferences, though, Sarah, they have a blast when they go. You know, what's the best part about it is that they're all so close. The girls that we have working for us are so close knit, and when they get to see each other in person, it just feels it so tightly, and
the family.
It really is.
Well, I remember the one conference we all three spoke at.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and you were so gracious to include us with your family of people. And oh my God, we felt like we were at grandma's house the entire weekend. I mean, it was just this big love fest and everyone was so nice. And to your point, Linda, they were feeding off that conference. There was so much excitement in your team there. And with the one person I brought, we were just all excited and bonding together and going.
For me, Steve, that's all that mattered. You got me having heat in the kitchen. And that Airbnb that we had, it was so cold in the Portland people.
I remember that. Yeah.
Open the doors. It's hot.
How to make the nest work. And I'm like,
I forgot about that. I'm always adjusting the nest at my house, but it
was fun. That was fun. That was good that we all got together. I think that was a experience that we were all together in one big house.
Yeah.
Well, we divided classes. Different people went to different classes at the conference.
We talked about them, so we got
the experience. I will say it is really hard to go to a conference without my mom and her sister.
I don't like it, Sarah. To be honest with you,
I don't like it either. I've always enjoyed it. Yeah,
didn't want to go, but and we can't even if Sarah and I just want to trot off together, we have to take Tiara because she keeps us in line and lets us know where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. We're very reliant on her.
We are blessed. I will say I am grateful that I've gone to the space in my life where I'm like, I used to not be like that. And I'm like, whatever, you just tell me I'm fine. If I don't have to think about it and you can, thank you. But
something
there is
wrong because it always does. And Tiara
There is a program out there. I want to highlight a program that's really dear to our heart. It's our friends that have been. I was at the first Appy Camp when this idea kind of came into formation, and it is the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation that really supports. It's a nonprofit that supports individuals who have never gone to a conference or want the support to go to a conference.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Helps them. So it also helps. Like you have to submit. There's a whole submission thing. They'll help pay for a conference ticket. I'm not sure about the rest of it, but there's, airfare, hotel accommodations too. That's possibly included, depending on what
I think it is. I think
the sponsorship is.
Cost them anything. And what's really cool about what they do is they bring multiple people and they keep them together. So they actually experience the conference, unlike us going by ourselves.
Oh.
They bring them and they give them like t-shirts so you know who they are, and everybody it's really great what they do.
I would like more information about that.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So it's a brainchild of several people. I don't want to just put it on one, but I know Kate, our friend Kate, is the main kind of person that thought it, and then our friend Don Brolin and a few others. I believe Nio's a part of it. There's a few. There's Megan. Anyways, they put them all together, and we can include these in our show notes. But the part that's really, I think, really key, Steve, and I feel you probably can attest to this. If we didn't have these little mastermind groups that we participate in, that's also a huge part of an opportunity to meet with people. I know that Richard Roper has his roundtable and he has different groups, and that's a very connected a very widespread group of people, very welcoming group of people. There's our mastermind group for the legal niche that we host, the Accountants Law Lab. Our friend Seth David has one. There's multiples. There's a lot out there. And so that's really supportive because you can actually get into these groups. And then when you're attending a conference, if you're traveling alone, you actually have a group of people that you can
Right.
be involved.
Well, at the conference we were at a couple of years ago, there were people from the law lab there.
Yeah.
And I was able to have lunch with a few of them. And it was like, we finally got to meet and hug each other and share ideas and take subjects that are discussed in the law lab and go deeper.
Yeah.
There's so much, it's education.
Yeah.
It's education. It's a gift to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the in-person too, because it's, you don't get to be in person enough nowadays with all the remote stuff. And the fact that we have some good conversations with people we don't even know, but they're at the table for lunch.
Yes.
So that's part of it. I can tell you that we're getting the most out of your conference experience. Make sure you bring sneakers, because if you wear high heels, your feet are going to kill. There's a lot of walking involved.
I'll keep that in mind.
She's saying it out loud for herself too, by the way.
Especially if you have somebody to carry your shoes for you.
Yeah, don't feel like you have to dress to the nines to go to a conference. Get the flavor of what type of conference.
I think you should dress to the nines to stand
Well, I
out.
think you should dress up, but be comfortable.
Yes, you can do that. You can do that.
Yes.
I see some people and I'm like, were you going to the beach?
Yeah, don't go in your blue jeans and
you're a representative of your firm, right? So
correct.
you wear jeans. And most of the people even on stage today wear the jeans. And you can always tell the 50-year-old plus on stage because they'll have like a business suit on, and then anybody below 50 is dressed kind of, cutting edge, I guess you call it.
Dress professional, but dress comfortably, because you are on the move.
I'm like on the line right now. So I'm like, what line am I in right now?
Oh, Sarah, you dress up. Are you kidding? You're always dressed up. Special. There's 7 days of conference. There's 7 different pairs of glasses.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know how many years we've been together now. It's been a few already. And when I finally met you in person, I can remember right at first, I just sat there at the airport. It was at the airport. I just kept looking at you two going like, well, there they are.
They're real. And there he is.
Real,
Well, and
it's fun. And then when you do meet people, you get to see them, especially if you go to the same conferences. So if you go to Intuit Connect, you're going to see a lot of the same people. If you go to Scaling New Heights, it's a great group of people. And I actually have to say that with Scaling, they always had a pretty high level of content there. And also, when you went there, they used to have the party and everybody, the party. And they took the party away. And I feel like that when they did that, that was actually better, because then it was just everybody kind of hung out at the bar and talked. And it was, I don't know, we didn't have to worry about dancing and what
you make your own.
You didn't have to get a theme and get a special outfit and all of that. It was just, everybody kind of hung out, and I really like that. And Intuit do it? No, they do the party.
No, they did the.
I'll remember all of us buying our special shoes for the Connect party. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Well, with Xero, there is kind of similar format, and then there's probably, I bet you, Sage Intact has something that they do.
I know Barabi went to that.
Yeah, and so
I think it's more formal though, like a CPA one.
Well, there's quite a bit out there. I mean, there's different ones for digital.
Does Xero do one?
They have their every other year is their conference, and
is it still Australia, or is it
for this year it'll be Australia in September, which I would absolutely love to go. But honestly, I do look at it through the lens of all of these places that we can participate in, but really it centers around the community. And I think ultimately it's the respectfulness. Linda and I have always said, if we're going to ask for someone's time, we would like to pay you for that time. Or if we're going to engage, we'd like to pay you for those services. And I often see, and it's fine, people say, oh, can I pick your brain? I'm like, yeah, you can, but then within, respect. So I feel like there's a whole respect level for some people. But I feel like if you're going to invest in yourself, and you haven't done this before, this is the time to do it. The calendars are out there. I feel like Keeper does one, Financial Sense does one. Some of the accounting articles. What's the one Murph does that he's got? Doesn't he have a calendar or like a list of all the different conferences?
Isn't he? Yeah. Insightful. Does he do it for Insightful Accounting?
Okay, that might be where, yeah. But, you can look at those. Some are very costly, but the price level, the price point, and then the content. I don't know if every piece has the content out there, but it's really important. But if you haven't done one,
listed the content yet because it's in the future. But
in the future,
I think you want to look at that first.
Yeah.
To make sure that it's something you want to go to and there's something on the calendar. And then you just have to make your direction where you want to go and what your experience is going to be, the purpose. Are you purposely going to network with other people? Are you purposely going for education? Are you going to be teaching? I mean, all of those are factors in. And I think that's where you have to figure out what you want to do and to make the most of it. I think they're good to do. I think they're good to get out of your room and go meet other people. I think that's part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Have a big open mind. You can come home from the worst conference on earth and learn something. You can go to the best one on earth and learn something. I mean, it's all in how you approach it and how you plan it ahead of time. And
I still remember how exhilarated I was coming home from the first
for the first one. I remember, and I know this is true. When we talk about it, we like to give ourselves some time afterwards, because when you come back, you've got all your clients, right, that need you. And so through the years, we've learned of what's considered dedicated time. So putting it out there that you are at a conference and you're educating yourself. That is, we see this in our profession.
No, I'm glad you brought that tip up.
Yeah, we really need to give ourselves some space. And I've never given myself enough space. And Linda knows this, is sometimes when I get back, I'm already hitting the ground. But then I like to absorb what I've learned. So I like to go back and really, and I literally, it sounds funny, but sometimes I use whatever little notepad is they give me. That's how I bookend it in my brain. Oh, that's what you gave me that year. That's where my notes are. It just helps me keep it together. So I feel like conferences would actually do best if they had branded even slim paper notebooks, because that's how people think about it, is that moment of time. And so anyways, that's my little two wishes.
Well, even when I went to Reframe last year, it was my first year doing it. They gave us paper and a pen and told us not to use computers because your brain remembers what you learned.
Writing. Yeah.
And they gave us a lot of books to take home to read, which I really appreciated. And I've already gone through all the ones that I brought home with me, and they were good short reads, but they were good. And and that's a specialized conference. It's for a different purpose. But so you can go to the smaller ones, like Steve was saying before. You go to the small ones. They don't have to be the big fancy ones. You can go to the smaller ones. You might get more out of something that's smaller, that's 200 people, like a Bridging the Gap or something like that, because it's more intimate. So.
Yeah.
And it might be in a venue where you're going to meet people in the same space that you are right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a good topic.
I like it. All right, let's go. Let's get some airplane tickets booked and go.
That was a lot of talking about conferences. I'm drinking some water.
To support the Accountants Law Pod, don't forget to like, share, and leave a review. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. If you have questions or topic requests, shoot us an email at info@accountantslawpod.com or send us a message through our website, accountantslawpod.com. To join our weekly Accountants Law Lab Mastermind sessions, head over to accountantslawlab.com to sign up. And to learn more about the Accounting Cornerstone Foundation, click the link in the show notes below.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see y'all next week.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.